Right. So in this video, I'm going to be telling you the different types of carer jobs that, are in the UK that you can apply for, how much you can expect to earn depending on which particular carer job you choose and, decide to apply for, and what is the potential for career progression, how much can you expect to earn if you keep working within that particular role that you've chosen to apply for. So this is something that is very important because if you're watching this and you're still out of the UK, it's going to be very, very relevant because you may have been thinking, oh, there are all these different career jobs. What are the differences? Which one should I be going for? Or if you're already in the UK, you're probably thinking, if I had known, I should have applied for this other one. If I had known, I would not have applied at all. So in this video, I'll try to explain to you the different jobs, for carers and the pay that comes with each one of them and what the potential is for career growth progression and just the potential to be able to earn more as you progress within that particular role. Because I'm going to tell you that when you're still out of the UK, it may be, you can just be thinking, oh, I don't really care, what carer job it is. I don't even care what job it is at all. I just want to get to the UK as soon as possible. But look, that's a big mistake because if you have the opportunity to know everything beforehand, before you start applying for those jobs, it's going to save you a lot of stress, a lot of hassle, a lot of mishap, a lot of heartache, a lot of sleepless nights when you get to the UK. Because look, it's not all rosy, once people get here, I can assure you that. But again, this is something that people don't appreciate when they're still out of the UK because they're just like, oh, Melvis, you're going on about this. I really don't care. I just want to get there. You want to make sure that you get the right information before you're getting into this country because that is an opportunity that many people here did not have. So with the range of information that is now available, you don't want to get here just through any means. You want to use the best means that is possible for your personal circumstances so that as you're getting here, you're already one step ahead. Because if you're here through the right pathway, through a pathway that is convenient for you, like I said, it's going to save you a lot of stress. So that's why I'm taking this time to do this video to make sure that I explain to you the difference. And by the way, if you're new to the channel, lovely to have you. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification button because there's more content like this and I'm going to be doing a part 2 of this video telling you which job exactly you should be applying for. If you're a returning subscriber, always beautiful to have you as well. Thank you for watching these videos and I hope that you implement this information because I'm not just doing this video so that you can know the information and then do absolutely nothing. The whole point is that you implement the things that I'm talking about in these videos because I know that there's information overload and people are just like, oh, can you send me this information? No, you need to be proactive. If you want things, you need to be proactive. Even if you're looking for people to support you, you still need to be proactive. The more proactive you are, the more you're going to succeed because people are busy. Nobody's got time to be chasing you, to be babysitting you, to be policing you. I'm telling you this out of good faith. You want to be as proactive as possible in your own career progression, whether you're still looking for jobs to get to the UK or you're already in the UK and you're trying to progress, or even if you're part of my coaching program, because I've got a coaching and mentorship program where I support nurses, carers, student nurses with career progression in the UK. I still urge you to be proactive in that process because there's nobody that is going to do it all for you. And it's for your own good, it's for your own progress. If you are, doing the right things, if you're proactive and just putting in more effort in your own progress, your own success, your own, opportunities or whatever it is you want to call it. So let's get to the video. So when it comes to carer jobs, there are, different types of carer jobs. So in fact, before a few years ago, it used to start from band 1, when you were thinking about obviously the agenda for change pay, because most of the carer positions kind of borrow that system, which is from the NHS to pay the carers. So band 1 was completely scrapped. It was about £19,000 per year. So right now, carers, if you see a carer position advertised just as carer position, you can expect that the pay is between 20,000 and 21,000 pounds per year. Again, if you're out of the UK, you may be converting this money in your local currency and thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to be so wealthy. I'll have millions. Look, when you move to the UK, that money is not enough. That money is barely enough to pay your rent. And that's why I go on about career progression. That's why I go on about looking for better paying opportunities. So if you're applying for a carer job, that is a starting point. It's simply carer job, and the pay is 20,000 to 21,000. Again, I'm going to explain to you what it means when they give a range, because again there's a lot of confusion with, oh Melvis, what does this mean when they say 20,000 to 21,000? So basically, when you start, as a brand new carer, you're new to the profession today, you'll be earning 20,000. That's why they say from to. So you'll be earning 20,000 pounds. And then if as you're progressing within that, within that carer position, let's say you've got a visa, a 5-year visa, if they say 21,000 to 20,000 to 21,000, it means that you can progress up to 21,000. This means that no matter how long you stay in that particular position, the highest you're ever going to earn is 21,000 pounds, which means that if you come to the UK, for example, as today as a carer, you're earning 20,000. If you choose to stay in that position for whatever reason, the highest you're ever going to earn is 21,000 pounds, which means if you stay in the job for 20 years, you will be earning 21,000 pounds, which is why, it's very difficult to find people, obviously, in the UK to do these jobs, because the pay is so bad. Because how can you stay in a career for 20 years, for example, and the only increment you have is £1,000 throughout the entire career? So that's how it works with carer jobs. Just so that you're aware, when you're applying for these jobs, you're aware that this is the situation and that's how the pay is. And that's why when you move to the UK, I urge you to make sure that you get in contact with me. We start working on your career progression, working on other opportunities that there are, how you can progress, how you can excel, because you don't want to be doing the same thing for 20 years and just having a pay rise of £1,000, because you're going to get demoralized. You're going to get really low in mood. You're going to get, once you find out about all of this. So that's the carer job. Then you have some that are advertised as senior carer job. So with a senior carer job, the pay is from £21,000 to £23,000, which means if you're starting brand new and you apply for a senior carer position and get the job, your initial pay is going to be 21,000. So it's a little bit higher than the carer position. So obviously senior carer, that's senior in front of it, makes it have a higher salary than if you're simply just applying for the one that says carer position. So you need to make sure that when you're applying for these jobs, also you're checking the pay. How much are they offering? Because if it's a senior carer position, there's probably going to be some roles and responsibilities in addition, which means that you should be paid a little bit more, even though obviously it's only like £1,000 more than the carer position. But you still want to make sure that you're getting the right pay for that particular position, because 1,000 is better than nothing, obviously. And considering the fact that as a senior carer, you start from 21 and end in 23, that's already, that's about £2,000 increase throughout, the span of your career. So if you start as a senior carer today at 21,000, if 10 years from now you're still in the same position, the maximum you're ever going to earn is 23,000. You cannot earn more than that. It doesn't matter how long you've been in the profession, in the job, you're going to earn maximum of 23,000, which again, I can assure you that is not much at all, which is why it brings me again to the career progression. That's why I'm so passionate about it, because it is difficult to live on these amounts. It's bad enough if you're a qualified nurse, which you earn a little bit more, but as a carer, the pay is really low. If you've got a family, imagine that many of the carers coming from Africa, for example, and Asia, they've got families. If you've got, a husband or a wife and you've got 3 children, even 2 children, how are you going to live in the UK? It's very, very challenging, because you still need extracurricular activities for your children. You probably even need to pay for childcare. You're working, those unsociable hours. It is not easy, and that's why you need to be smart. As soon as possible, you need to start thinking about how you can progress, how you can earn more, how you can improve your standard of living. Is something that needs to start instantly. You don't need to be, delaying. You don't need to delay that at all, because it's going to lead to a stage where you're unable to manage your finances, because you're not going to have any money at all that you can live on. And that's why I am very, very passionate about career progression, making sure that, we are able to get out of this systemic poverty and systemic, low pay. Because if you're relying on the government striking and all that to increase the pay, how much can they increase the pay for it to have an impact in your life? I think it's highly unlikely. So if you're like me and you want to find other ways that you can legally earn more and live a better life, possibly retire early, then look. Hmm. Check the link in the description box below and make sure that you're commenting. If you've got any issues, any worries, any questions about these carer jobs, leave them in the comment section and I'm going to join you there, and I'll try to provide some more information, if it's possible, if it's things that I know about. Obviously nobody knows everything, but I'll try to provide as much information as I've got. So just make sure that you're dropping those worries there. So that's for the senior carer position. So you've got the carer position, you've got the senior carer position, and then there's one role as well that you have before you get into nursing. So that's band four roles. So there are varying number of roles within healthcare in the UK that are band four. I'm going to do a whole video for that because these are opportunities for carers to grow into as well. So if you come in as a band two carer, you can then grow gradually, through apprenticeship or just funded programs or just through doing various courses. You can then grow gradually into these other positions, because sometimes it's not just a matter of leaving from band 2 say to band 5, for example, which is a nurse, but you may have a family. You may want to find those funded positions so that you can grow gradually while being funded by your employer, for example. That's quite a good way, because then you can progress without necessarily having to say spend money doing courses yourself, but then your employer supports you through the process, which the main advantage obviously with this is that they're going to pay for your for the courses as well as pay you during your training position, which is a huge advantage, especially if you've got children or if you're still on the visa. That is very good as well. It's the best time for you to take the opportunity to gain as many skills as you can, to get your employer to support you through that career progression. But obviously you need to be working in the right place. You need to be working in an area where they're able to fund you. You need to be working in an area where they're willing to fund you, and you also need to demonstrate the skills, values, and interests of somebody who deserves that funding. Because look, no employer is going to fund you to study further if you're not showing the interest. Neither are you showing the ability to succeed through that training. And that's why just behaving well at work, integrating well within the team, taking part in activities of the ward is incredibly important. When I say ward, I mean it doesn't matter whether you're domiciliary care, you're working in a nursing home, you're in a residential home, you're working for the NHS, you're working for a private company. It really doesn't matter, but you need to integrate well within your team. You need to be respectful to the people that you're working with, both patients and relatives, staff, junior staff, senior staff. You need to treat everybody with so much dignity that that really puts you in a very good light, because when you know your job well, you're well behaved, you get more support. That's the reality of it. You get more support, and you need that support in order to keep progressing, especially if you're going to progress without necessarily spending money yourself to have that career progression. You need to behave appropriately, make sure you learn your job well, and show interest. When you show interest, if you have the right people, that's what I'm saying, you need to understand the type of employer you've got as well, because not every employer will be able to fund people to do certain courses. So again, this is something that if you're part of my program, I can obviously go through it with you to tell you what are the best employers, if you need funding, what are the employers that can help you to progress into various positions, because it's not a one size fits all. It's kind of a case by case situation. So it's quite difficult to just give a blanket example that's going to suit everybody's needs, because everybody's working in different circumstances and looking to develop into different pathways. It doesn't always have to be that if you're a career developing into nursing, there are other healthcare professions or even non-healthcare related professions that you can develop into. It doesn't have to be that it's nursing, but nursing is the likely pathway, or let's say healthcare is the likely pathway, because you've already got experience and because your current employer, if they need other roles, then they can help you to progress within those roles. So it's really important. So again, we're still talking about obviously the pay situation and different carer roles. So we've talked about carer, which is band 2, that's the minimum level. We've talked about senior carer, that is band 3, that's kind of the medium level. And then now we're talking about band 4. So band 4, like I was saying, there are so many different positions in band 4. Some of them need that you should complete some sort of training. It could be on the job training, it could be doing a care certificate, it could be doing like NVQs, it could be going to uni, for example. It could be doing a diploma in something, depending on what band 4 role it is. It could be just completing an employer-led, in-house apprenticeship. So there are so many different roles within band 4. Like I said, I'm going to do the next video I'll do is going to be just about that and telling you what's the best carer position that you should be applying for. So, this is how the pay is. So obviously for band 4, you're then going to start at 23,000 and then, progress into 26,000, which means that if you start at band 4, whatever band 4 position you start at, you're ever only going to progress to 26,000. And I do want you to note something here. As you progress higher in the banding, the amount of money that you can earn within that particular banding begins to increase as well. Because remember that when we were talking about the carer position, if you start at 20, you can ever only progress to 21 in your entire career as a carer. If you start at 21, which is a senior carer role, you can ever only progress to 23,000, which is the maximum. But as you get to band 4, something really interesting begins to happen. If you start at 23,000, you can progress into 26. So now, if you realize, you can see that from one role to another, the amount of money significantly increases. It almost doubles how much you can earn within that level. And that's why career progression is so important in the UK. Career progression is so valued. And without career progression, you are going to be tied down for your entire life working more hours. You don't want that ideally. The ideal scenario is that you want to progress from one band to another so that you can earn more without necessarily needing to work extra hours. If you imagine, for example, let me give you a practical example. A nurse that comes, that is working as a band 2 carer. If you're band 2 and you're earning 20,000, for you to be able to earn 26,000, like a band 4 carer, for example, you would need to work. How many extra hours do you think you need to work to earn up to that amount? You need to work like so many extra hours. But if you take time and progress from one band to another, you work the same number of hours, but you're able to earn a lot more. And this is one thing that people don't realize with career progression. Working extra hours, for me, is not something that should be normalized, because extra hours, I find, not only are they unsafe, you're more likely to make, more errors when you work so many hours in healthcare, but you're more likely to be more stressed and burnt out, compared to those colleagues who just work their normal hours and progress within the banding. And look, I'm not just, these are things that I have experienced. These are things I've experienced. I started my career in the UK as a band 1 carer because they had band 1 at the time. Obviously, it's been scrapped now, luckily. So I started as a band 1 carer and I've grown into band 8B, which is quite, a drastic, increase from one band to another. And that's why I can tell you that when I was in the junior bands, for example, I worked so many hours to be able to just make up for my bills. But now I'm in the position where I don't need to work any extra hours, in my nursing job to be able to earn a reasonable amount of money. So you earn a lot more, but your hours of work don't increase. And that is a huge thing, because if you've got children, that's an opportunity for you to spend with your family. That's an opportunity for you to do homework, with your children. Because in the UK, if you've got children, they're going to be giving, homework every day. You will be like a teacher to the children. If you're not home, how are your children going to learn? How are they going to study? It's not easy. Because many people are moving to the UK and saying, I'm moving because of my children. But actually, if you don't have time for those children, it's going to be so tough because they'll be lagging behind. And you don't want your children lagging behind. You want them to be on top of their game. You want them to be high performers. You want them to be having a brighter future than what you've had. And they cannot do that without the proper education, without the proper mentorship, without the proper guidance and assistance from you as a parent. And you cannot provide that mentorship and guidance to your children if you don't have time to be with them. If you're keeping your child to a childminder, which childminder is going to sit with your child, teach them, be focused? No, the childminder is probably going to have other children. They probably have their own children. So it is a hard life. And that's why with career progression, if you're a carer or a nurse, you need to be progressing from one band to another. So again, we had gotten to the level of band 4. So if you're a band 4 carer, so at the level of band 4, some of the roles are regulated, which means that you have like organizations like the NMC or like the other healthcare bodies tend to start regulating rules, but there are still many of the band 4 rules that are unregulated. So carers, basically, if you're a carer in the UK, is an unregulated role. So what this means is that you're still accountable, but you're accountable to say the nurse that you're working with. If let's say you're working as a carer in a nursing home, so you're accountable to the nurse that you're working with that particular shift. So there's no body per se in England anyway. There's no body that regulates carers. So carers are unregulated. But if you're a nurse, obviously you've got a nursing and midwifery council that regulates your practice. And this regulation is really important because what it means is that as a carer, obviously if you don't do something, the nurse is responsible. That's the way it is. So as a nurse, if you tell your carer, oh, are you able to check vital signs for these patients? If that carer does not check, you are going to be accountable as the nurse. So you cannot say, oh, I asked the carer to do it and they said no. No, if the carer says no, for example, it's your duty as a nurse to that patient to make sure that that's done. So that's what I mean by, accountability. And that's why regulation is so important, because if carers are regulated, for example, then the carers are kind of responsible. Again, this doesn't mean that if you're a carer and you do something wrong, you don't get punished. Obviously, you can get sacked, and things like that. But as a nurse, the case goes to the NMC. That's the difference. And then the NMC, as a regulator, can then say, look, you're not safe to practice as a nurse, and then take away your PIN number. And then not only can you not work as a nurse in that area, but you can't work as a nurse anywhere. So that's why regulation is so important, is that that extra accountability that it gives you, which carers don't have currently in England, but nurses, doctors, pharmacists, obviously paramedics, they do have that. So again, if you move from band 4 to band 5, what happens is that that's for obviously qualified nurses. So all qualified nurses in the UK, it doesn't matter whether you're trained overseas or you're trained in the UK, everybody starts at band 5, which is great. So in recent years, the salary has been increased, and this has been really, really helpful. So if you start up band 5 right now, you earn about £27,000. And so that's the starting point. So it's £27,000 to about 33,000, which means if you're a nurse in the UK and you never progress beyond band 5, the maximum you're ever going to earn is £33,000 per month. You don't earn more than that. But obviously, if you're progressing, then if you go to band 6, then you start from the £33,000 up to £41,000. So the differences are really, really high. So the higher you go in the banding, the more you're going to be able to earn. Not only that, but if you're staying within the same band, like I was saying previously, there is also the potential to earn a lot more. So again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, do hit subscribe, turn on the notification button, because you want to make sure that you're the first to be notified when I drop videos about similar content, entrepreneurship in the UK. If you're thinking of just starting your own business, it could be an online business, it could be health related business, I've got a program that supports colleagues to be able to set up their own businesses, because look, retiring early has never been so important. If you want to retire early, like me, for example, I'm hoping I can retire by 40. Not necessarily that I will stop working at 40, but I need to be in a position where I can actually not work and still be able to earn money. So I'm working towards that right now. It's really optimistic so far. So if it's something that you're interested in, you do want to get in touch with me so that we can get started. Or career progression, like I'm saying, if you're a carer, you don't want to stay at band 2 for your entire career. You don't want to be earning 21,000 for the rest of your journey. It's not easy because there's inflation, there's a recession, things are a lot more expensive, energy bills have tripled, quadrupled, insurance. When you look at all of that, it's really, really a challenge. So investing in your own professional development is something that is incredibly vital. It's something that cannot be overemphasized. It's something that I cannot stress enough on it. So when you're looking at these carer jobs and you're applying, you need to be making sure that you're reading, the job description properly. Because if they're saying that it's a senior carer position, it needs to be aligned with the pay. It needs to be in alignment with the pay. The pay needs to be able to make you think, okay, is this carer position, is it a senior carer, what banding is it? You need to make sure that that information is there, because in some areas, for example, like residential homes, if you're a senior carer, you'll be taking charge of the shift. So you'll be like a team leader. Some places call it team leader, some places call it, there also all different names. So if you're the team leader, you're probably going to be doing medication rounds. Obviously, you get training to do that. But if you're just applying for a carer position, then you have less of that management role. So obviously, you want that if you're doing more, you should be paid more for it. So check how much is being paid, which is what I'm telling you. So carer jobs generally start from 20,000, senior carer jobs from 21,000. The difference is not so much, but at least in terms of career progression, you can have better opportunities as well if you apply for a senior carer role rather than just a carer role. So these are some of the subtle but trivial, differences that these roles have, and that's why if you can consult from people who know about these roles, from people who are doing these roles, from people who have experience in these roles, then you really start on a very, very high note. You don't want to start getting to the UK, or you're already in the UK, you don't know what the differences are, and then you end up stuck. This is what happens to many people, sadly. So make sure you're doing your research well. Make sure that you're implementing the information, because it's not just giving you information to be like, oh yeah, just watch this video. No, it's making sure, and that's why I try to take time to explain, to give all the details so that you can implement those things and just really change your change the things that you're doing. So if it's something that you need more support with, obviously, like I was saying, I have a private coaching program where I support with career progression for carer. So if you're a carer, you're looking for a carer job, or you're just trying to progress, to get a different job, for example, or to progress to higher bandings, or you just want to know, what's the best, what else can you do? What's the next thing that you can do with yourself and with your career and with your journey in the UK? Then you do want to get in contact with me. If you check the link in the description box below, you see all the links. You can, for my newsletter, for my coaching program, you can check out my website. You can see the different packages that are on offer, and just make sure that you're exploring all these different opportunities, because you need support. The UK is a place where you want to understand the system. You need somebody who understands the system to be able to guide you, so that you're not wasting time, so that you start your career on a very high note and be able to earn a lot more quicker. You don't want to be at band 2 as a carer for 5 years, 10 years. You're earning the same amount of money, but it's a whole lot of work. If you've worked as a carer, you know what I'm talking about. It's a lot of work for how much we're being paid. So you want to make sure that you're optimizing your chances, you're increasing your opportunities, you're exploring every single opportunity that is out there available for you, to make sure that you're getting the best, you're getting the best of your hard work, of your of your experience, of your journey. And that's why understanding the pay structure from band 2 right up as you progress into very senior positions is something that is incredibly vital. It's something that it's a must, and I can assure you that unfortunately many people don't get to progress. Many people are going to stay in the same position where they are and never be able to progress from there, which is a massive shame, considering how much the pay is. Because how can you be in a career for 20 years, for example, and you only have a pay rise of £1,000? But this is how it works in the UK. If you're a carer, if you're a band 2 carer, which most people are, band 2 carers, you're ever only going to earn £1,000 more. So if you start work today, you'll be earning 20,000. If 20 years from now, for example, you're still doing the same job, the same profession, you'll only be earning £21,000. And that's why, if you look at it in this way, You see that progressing, exploring other opportunities, looking at what else you can do for yourself is a must. It's something that is a must. It's not only a luxury, but it is essential. It is something that you must prioritize, to be able to live the life that is I don't want to say luxurious, but a life that is decent, that you can even pay your bills and not live, month to month. You need to be thinking about progressing. You need to be thinking about enhancing your skills. What else can you do? Learning, doing courses, doing more is a very good thing, because that's how you get to earn more as well. So it's incredibly important. Again, if you watched the video till now, I really appreciate you staying till the end. And I know that the videos are long, but it's just because I want to give you all the information that is needed, so that as you're starting your journey in the UK, you're starting in a very positive note. You're starting at the top of the range, so that you are able to just thrive in this country. You're able to have the best, from the sacrifices you're making, doing this job. So I'll see you in the next video, and make sure that you check out the video that I'm going to be posting next about the best carer jobs to apply for. So yes, in this video we've talked about how much you earn and what are the different carer jobs, but what is the best one for you to apply to do. So I'll see you in that video. Again, if you've got any comments, do leave them in the comment section. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, hit subscribe, turn on the notification button, and I'll join you in the comment section. And again, see you in the next video.